United States House
We're standing here with
GIan Fulgoni.
How could you best describe a company called comScore?
Well, comScore is in the business of providing digital marketing intelligence to its clients. So any company that is touching the internet in any way, whether it's through the fixed internet or whether it's through mobile devices, we provide information on what consumers or users are doing and how they're doing it on a global basis.
Is there what is your future opinion about comScore? What changes could we expect in future?
Well, we've over the past 18 months or so, we've done a number of significant acquisitions that have dramatically expanded the size of the market that we're in by a factor of at least 3. So we're very busy working in an expanded market today. So 2 of the ones that the acquisitions that I had mentioned that are worth noting. One is here in Holland. We acquired a company called Nedstad, and they were in the web analytics business. And we've taken their product, added some additional functionality, integrated with some of the comScore capabilities. The product is now called Digital Analytics. We're expanding that around the world, especially here in Europe and especially in the US. Another acquisition, a company called Nexius, that's in the business of providing, think of it as web analytics for a carrier, for a telecom carrier, so that they can analyze their own data. And we're busy expanding that, again, around the world. And that doesn't even include all of the businesses that we had before these acquisitions, where there's a lot of activity going on. We are building and we'll be introducing a new set of advertising measurement tools. One that's really interesting is counting the ad impressions that are delivered on the internet according to whether the ad was actually seen on the screen. Did the ad ever get to be visible? And it looks like that's the important measure that now brand advertisers want to have. So we'll be introducing that before the end of the year. So a lot going on.
You talked about a renaissance of advertising. Could you define the renaissance?
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say there is that, and I mentioned this in my talk this morning, we are in a time where I think that pricing power has moved to the consumer. They can use the internet now to find the lowest price for any product. I think that puts a lot of pressure on a brand to establish their value in the minds of the consumer. And there's no better way to do that than through advertising. So I think we will see an increased focus on brand communications, and the internet plays an important role there because it's a very efficient and very powerful way of communicating to the consumer. And we're already seeing it. We're seeing that display advertising online is growing much faster than search, which I think reflects the shift of branding ad dollars from traditional media to the internet. And so I think Renaissance means a change in the way that advertising dollars are spent, increased use of the internet. Hopefully it also means more of a focus on the creative, what's said in the commercial, and realizing that the best way of establishing value in the minds of the consumer is through advertising.
Is this a really future change or just during this recession? Well,
the recession, I was about to say, isn't over in the sense that we are left with a lot of residual problems that came out of the recession. Maybe technically it's over. Let's hope we don't go into a double-dip recession, and unfortunately some of the evidence is suggesting that might well happen. Nonetheless, we have a consumer who is more strapped economically than probably in the last 40 or 50 years. And they are changing the kinds of products they buy. They're trading down, which means they are buying cheaper brands, they are switching channels, they're going to cheaper retailers, and they are buying increasingly on the internet where prices are even cheaper than retail stores. So there's a lot of really important changes that are occurring that I think could be threatening for certainly a physical store retailer if they aren't aware of them and planning around them.
But when we compare the online retail to the traditional offline retail, does the traditional retail survive?
Well, I think they can certainly survive. I mean, there's always going to be a need for physical stores. I think the question is whether the physical store needs to change. Maybe they need to be smaller, not carry as much inventory, and then they won't cost as much, because remember the stores are generally in very expensive locations, right? Real estate wise. And so what I think will happen is that we will move to more of a hybrid situation where the stores will be more showcase places, but there'll be a lot more buying that will be done from the internet. Apple stores might be a good example of the kind of retail site that we might end up seeing a lot more of.
And how does social media influence, for example, the way you examine a market and you get your figures with comScore?
I'm sorry, how does what?
How does social media, change the way of doing research?
Well, you know, social media has had a big impact. I mean, I think well over 1/3 of all advertising impressions on the internet now are driven through, you know, social media, Facebook being the biggest part of it. What we're finding is that the relationship between fans and friends of fans on Facebook allows a marketer to get an amplification of their message, right? So you can send a communication to fans, the friends of fans see it, the friends of fans are influenced because they're seeing a message from their friends who are fans, and it's very persuasive. And so what we see is an expansion in the total reach of the message and an expansion in the persuasiveness. And I suspect that we'll see a lot more use of that kind of an advertising approach as we go forward.
Okay, final and strange question. How come that most of these successful American entrepreneurs and managers do have Italian ancestors?
I didn't know that was the case, but I don't know. Maybe it's just eating really good Italian food stimulates our brain cells to be more creative. Maybe it's that. I don't know, but I hope that's true. I didn't know it was true, but it'd be great if it was.
Thank you, sir, and Joe Holland.
Thank you very much.